Hi, this is Suzanne, and in the next few minutes, I'll be sharing some of my thoughts to synthesize my experience in a San Jose State University School of Information course on information professions. While I have learned and experienced much more than I can fit into this brief presentation, I have tried to distill some of the lessons that have had the most impact on me into what I'm calling my top 3 takeaways. Starting with my number 3 takeaway, I realize that I'm a lucky dog. And by the way, this is my sweet dog, Bernie. My enrollment in SJSU's iSchool was prompted when I was hired as a teacher librarian this past fall, since I'm currently working only under an emergency teacher librarian credential. I knew that this was a rare opportunity, but completing the exploratory essay at the beginning of this course made me realize this even more. I learned that, at a nationwide level, there are only about 18,000 paid professional library media staff members. This translates to only about 20% of schools having the paid professional role. Working in California, the rates are even worse. Over the past decade, the number of teacher librarians in the state has drastically decreased from almost 1,400 statewide to only about 800. This means that only about 8% of schools in California have a teacher librarian, and to provide greater context, I have shared comparative statistics with other specialized positions. What this means to me is that I'm not only lucky, but that I also carry a large responsibility to not only serve my school community well, but also hopefully bolster the profession in general. As I think about how to maximize my efforts and impact as a teacher librarian, my number 2 takeaway is regarding the many hats that teacher librarians wear. The professional role has expanded beyond traditional library work to include involvement with technology, professional development for staff, and more. In conjunction with this class, one of the hats that I want to highlight is that of being a school leader. In terms of being a school leader, teacher librarians may be seen as one person leading or affecting many stakeholders, including students, teachers, administrators, and parents. In this course, we also learned a lot about management. But as a teacher librarian, this is an interesting situation because teacher librarians typically do not hold formal positions of power as administrators. For teacher librarians, the leadership that we must provide may be much more related to influence. In our course text, the authors distinguished between influence and power, and I learned that while there at times may be an overlap between the two, they also exist separate from one another. In other words, someone may have formal power but little influence, or conversely, and of personal relevance, someone may have influence even in the absence of formal power. As explained in our course text, respect is a factor in gaining influence. And I would argue that it's not just a factor, but a defining factor. And thus, as a teacher librarian, I seek to earn the respect of my school community and lead through influence. Now for my final takeaway, and that is simply to keep my eyes open. Throughout the course, the idea of environmental scanning came up multiple times, and I think that this speaks to the general idea of remaining constantly aware of changes that are occurring or are on the horizon. As cited in our text, librarians should be constantly scanning the environment to look for signs of the changes that may come. And this is my goal, to both anticipate change and to be flexible to change. Yet as things may change, one thing I want to remain grounded in is my commitment to my users and their needs. Thinking about user needs, I do appreciate how my ideas have become more nuanced in this regard, thanks to this course. First of all, when working on the organizational analysis project, a point that I found compelling is the charge to libraries to honestly reflect upon how much of our communities we are actually serving. When assessing user needs, rather than simply looking at the needs of our active patrons, we should also consider how we may expand our relevance with those who are not currently active users so that we may increase our sphere of relevance. Second, when thinking about how to become more relevant, I think it's interesting to think about ways to more meaningfully embed the library within the communities we serve. The quote, "Library staff members need to go native and embed themselves among the teams they support," makes me think about how I can try to meet my community where they are rather than wait for them to come to me. And as I approached my community, this other quote also really struck me. The library is good at counting things, but has not really done anything to see the value of those things. When considering this, I hope to keep these questions front of mind. How well do I truly understand the needs of our communities? What is the value that I'm providing? And how can I increase that value? In the end, with open eyes, I hope that the library can ideally become representative of, meaningful to, and supported by the whole community. And hopefully someday, I'll be working in the company of even more lucky dogs. In closing, I'd like to express my appreciation for our Professor Dr. Allman, my project team for this course, and all of my other classmates. Thank you for sharing in this journey.